Hello everyone and welcome back to Macro Day here on Scriptcase by Jamie. And today we're diving into a super handy macro that gives you the power to dictate how your grids are grouped right from the get-go. So no more leaving things to chance, and we are of course taking full control of our grid applications. And today's star is the SC set group by rule macro, that is sc underscore set set underscore group by, that's in one word, underscore rule. And this is of course a very super powerful macro. So what is its superpowers, you may be wondering? Well, the SC set group by rule macro forces the group by rule selection dynamically during runtime. And that means you can just change the group by as and when you need to, depending on your needs basically. Think of it like being the conductor of an orchestra, telling each section exactly when and how they need to play. So you're setting the stage for how your data is being presented before your users even see it, which is a nice little functionality to have and allowing you to really adjust and fine-tune the group by visibility per group maybe, or role dynamically as and when you please. So now it does have a bit of a scope and you can unleash its superpowers within the grid application, and yes, only the grid application, because only the grid application supports the group by rules, and specifically within the on application init event. So this is pretty crucial. If you do try to use it elsewhere, it might just spit out an error like I have here, trying to use it or display it even within my blank application. So that is very important to note, and remember the on application init is the SC set group by rules happy place to be, and you may want to place it there. So for this purpose, or for the purpose of this video, I have here already a grid open. Now if I go ahead and run this application, we will have here already some group bys applied. So we have here the group by for customer as well as a state. Now if you don't know how to apply a group by, this is the Grid05 application within the samples project that you will find within Scriptcase. And if you have not checked out the samples project yet, be sure to check it out, as it has a lot of examples, some scripts that you can reuse, and of course demonstrations of pretty much all of the capabilities available within Scriptcase. So a very powerful project to learn from. Okay, so the macro we need to use is then the sc underscore set underscore group by and underscore rule, and that then will equal our state. So if I save that, so now I have saved that, I can place in here the state that I want to use, or states I believe it is, and of course we can check that here within the group by. So if I come here to the static, it is indicated here as state or customer, so I will leave that here as state also, save that, and then click the run button. And then now here within our grid application we can see that we have our application or our grid application organized via the state only. Now, if I come back to the grid and if I change that then here to customer, for instance, it will then only display the customer group that we have defined within this application. So that is a pretty quick and easy example. And with this, you can force a specific group by layout at load of your grid application. This could be maybe for a sales dashboard that you always want to view by region maybe, or you may want to maybe have specific data loaded for maybe a group of people, maybe a sales by region, or whatever is really needed for your use case, of course. Now, this macro does really shine when you have specific groups available within your application. So you do need those. Now, you can imagine maybe having an admin user who sees all of the group buys. So in this case, where we have here 2 group buys, and this would then maybe be an admin view. And then for a specific user group, maybe you would only want to display one of those groups. And then with that, you can conditionally change the grouping based logic on the session or maybe filters that you have defined within your application. And if that doesn't make any sense to you, well, let's just say, for instance, you have a user that is using your application with a specific data set that you have, maybe within a date range, for instance, and you could dynamically adjust the grouping as you need to show possibly the daily, weekly, or maybe even monthly, yearly summaries based, of course, on the user selection or on your selection by dynamically applying a group by rule within your grid application. Now, there are a few more examples, but I'm sorry, those will be for members only over on the Scriptcase by Jamie members channel or video platform. You can check that out there, and there I will be having an extra few examples for this so you can actually check it out and see how this works in alternative methods maybe. So what I've pretty much just described, I'm going to code that out for you and show you how you can apply this in other scenarios. Now, there are a few notes that I would like to share with you just before we finish up this video, because like I said, it's a pretty straightforward and quick macro, as powerful as it is. Just to remember that the rule ID that you have defined is the internal name of the group by rule, meaning the rule that we apply here must be applied here within the group by interface. So static group bys, even dynamic group bys, but remember the dynamic group bys, they're dynamic already. So really you wouldn't really want to use this macro only for the static group by, and those group by settings must be defined already so that you can then dynamically in code change when that group by rule should be displayed. Now, as I had mentioned before, it can only be used here within the on application init. That is also very important. You can of course try and use it elsewhere, but you will have a bit of an error displayed to you. So that is very important to note. If you do have an error, then there are 2 things you can check. Making sure that you have applied this group by rule, or this macro should I say, within the correct event, and that you have then the correct group by rule that you have defined within the grid application, defined within your code or within the macro. So of course, give it a go, but of course, at the same time, do consider yourself warned. Those error messages, well, they just pop up randomly. Sometimes they lie, of course. If you place it in the wrong place, then you will have an error message. So that is all for today's SC set group by rule, because your grid deserves a good sorting hat as well. So that is important. Sort your data and display it as and when you need to for your specific groups. Use it to control what users can see and how they can see it maybe, because randomness belongs in lottery tickets, of course, and if you play the lottery like me every so often, then for sure you've never won. And with this macro, you are guaranteed to win, especially when you use it within dashboards, for instance. Now, if you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up down on the video, subscribe for more Friday macro day goodness, and let me know in the comments how you are using this specific macro, the SC set GroupBy rule, within your projects. And of course, I will be seeing you next week Friday for another macro day right here on Scriptcase by Jamie.